The town of Plainville. Established in 1721 at the geographical center of Connecticut.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular town council meeting. Today is October 19th, 2020, 7 p.m. We'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Councilman Wazorka to lead us.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Moving along the agenda, we do not have any presentations and we do not have a public hearing this evening. So the next item I will ask for is approval of the minutes of our previous meeting. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to approve the minutes from October 5th, 2020, regular meeting.
Madam Chair, second that motion.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion and a second. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Announcements and reports. Do we have any announcements or reports tonight?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes. I did attend via Zoom Library Trustees meeting last week on October 13th, and a lot of news that you may have seen in the papers as well. They entered another phase of reopening on October 8th, and some of the additional services include longer visits, longer times on computers, but they're also continuing the really successful curbside pickup of materials. It was very interesting looking at the circulation figures. Obviously had been impacted somewhat, but certainly with that curbside pickup and the electronic access to resources, they were pretty good, you know.
Right.
They're also keeping a lot of, obviously they're keeping all the procedures and precautions in place. Adult programming is starting to take off again via Zoom, including book clubs, grab-and-go kits for the children. And I really like to say, I think the public library in Plainville in many ways has been a leader in reopening and creating access for folks. I noticed a number of libraries in the area were later in providing these kind of things. And I think they've done a good job in being very flexible and very creative in terms of providing access in difficult times.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything to report this evening? All right, moving along. Announcements, appointments, and resignations. We have some appointments this evening, so I will go to motion number 1. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to appoint Thomas Machini Sr. as Fire Chief of the Plainville Fire Department effective January 4th, 2021.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
in the 3 years that I've been a member of the council, I've spent a lot of time with the fire department, different activities, and then just about a year ago, you appointed me liaison. I've spent a lot of time with Deputy Chief Machini. This is what I've learned. He loves Plainville. He loves the fire department, and he loves being a firefighter. He's a man of humility. He takes input from others. He's certainly not afraid to learn from his mistakes. He's willing to be held accountable, and he has all the traits, in my opinion, of a great leader. And I'm certain he's the right choice to be the next chief of the Plainville Fire Department.
Very nice. Anybody else have any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B, please.
Madam Chair, motion to appoint Tracy Justinsky as a probationary firefighter to the Plainville Fire Department.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number C.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to appoint Noel Roach as a regular firefighter to the Plainville Fire Department.
Madam
Second.
Chair,
I
second.
have a motion and 2 seconds. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you for that. Before we move on to any other appointments that we may have this evening, I would like to congratulate Deputy Chief Machini. I know this takes effective in January, but congratulations to you, Tom. Would you like to come and say a few words to the council and folks that are here tonight? We have one mic set up way over there.
Well, I'd like to thank the council, the town manager, for their commitment to me, to being the next chief of the Plainville Fire Department. I've served for 35 years as a member. My family has spent more than 110 years total in firefighting for the town of Plainville. So very happy to be here. Looking forward for my next venture in 2021.
Congratulations.
Great. Well,
Tom.
congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you, Tom. It's certainly a challenge when you step up to the leader of the
Yes, it
gang.
is.
So
Little
I'm sure
nervous.
you've been mentored well and you've
Yes.
had a lot of practice. So congratulations to you and very best of luck in the
Yes.
future.
Thank you all. Be safe.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have any other appointments this evening that are not listed on our agenda?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to appoint Jody Autumno for the new term 10/1/20 to 10/1/25 for the ZBA.
Madam Chair, second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Are there any other appointments tonight?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to appoint Robert Mashalik for the term 10/1/20 to 10/1/26 for the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
And that's senior, not junior.
Okay, thank you.
Senior? Oh,
Didn't- Okay.
all right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Are there any other appointments tonight to be made? I think there's some that are due. If we could just, for our next meeting, take a review of the appointments that are due. I think there's some for the Commission on Aging, and there's a few others that I noticed, but we can certainly take care of them at our next meeting. All right, if there are no others, we'll continue on our agenda. We do not have a Board of Ed representative here tonight, I don't think, so we'll move on. Report of the town attorney, we don't have him. And so we are at Robert Lee's portion of the meeting, report of the town manager. Robert?
Thank you very much. I have several items for the council's review and consideration this evening, the first of which is the White Oak proposal discussion. The town received two proposals for the White Oak property on West Main Street. The White Oak property consists of two parcels totaling approximately 15 acres. It was formerly the headquarters and construction yard for the White Oak Corporation that went out of business over 20 years ago. The town currently has an agreement with the current property owner to acquire the property for the value of the back taxes. The current amount of principal, delinquent interest, and lien fees owed on the two parcels total approximately $1 million. This includes a principal amount of $496,000 and interest and lien fees totaling approximately $523,000. The two proposals received were submitted by D'Amato Myers and Manafort, Newport Realty, and others. Last Thursday evening, both developers attended a special town council meeting held at the high school cafeteria to present their proposals. The D'Amato Meyer proposal would relocate the D'Amato Construction Company from Bristol to Plainville, would also relocate the Myers Enterprises business operations to the property as well. The proposal includes the construction of a 35,000 square foot addition to the back of the existing industrial building for servicing their equipment. The Manafort Newport Realty proposal includes a mixed-use development consisting of a 25,000 square foot medical office building, the construction of 8 multifamily residential units consisting of 160 one- and two-bedroom apartments, a 4,000 square foot community building, the creation of a pedestrian walkways to the center of town, the dedication of approximately 7 acres of land for public use, and relocate the westerly entrance way adjacent to the firehouse. Both proposals include the renovation of the existing office buildings and the accommodation of the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail. The next step is for the town council to determine how they would like to proceed with respect to the two proposals. One suggestion that I could make would be to consult with the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Economic Development Commission, the Downtown Merchants Association, and the Chamber of Commerce to solicit their thoughts on the proposals and perhaps some others as well.
Okay, does anybody have any thoughts on that? That to me sounds like a reasonable approach to get some more input in terms of some of the impacts to some of those agencies, and I certainly think it wouldn't be a bad idea. Does anybody else have any other thoughts on expanding our outreach?
Madam Chair, I certainly agree with the town manager.
Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
two thoughts. I'd also look to establish a public hearing to allow public comment. I know we had at least one gentleman at the meeting Thursday night, and I know I've gotten a couple calls over the weekend asking if we were going to have any public comment on this. The other is, I believe Councilman Nazzo asked about some of the impacts to town services. I don't know if we can get any idea with the 160 apartments, like, what effect that would have, even if it's negligible, but at least look into it a little bit. The same goes for the D'Amato proposal. What do we feel the impacts to town services would be? I'd like to get some of that information as well.
Any other thoughts on having some future discussions and opening it up?
Madam Chair, I would
Yes.
certainly agree with the groups that were already mentioned. And just a note on planning and zoning in particular, it was just in 2019 that they approved the latest plan of conservation and
Right.
development. And I've spent some time in the last week or so going through it, and there's, not just there's one or two pages where, about downtown and specifically addresses White Oak, but there's a lot of other information in that plan that's relevant. So I think it's especially important to have planning and zoning involved. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I agree that we should have a public hearing at some point for input on both, as I too have received some calls and some emails from citizens looking for more information. I don't know if the video of that meeting has been broadcast yet or not, or is available online. Being there, I didn't go back and watch it, but I definitely think, and I'm not sure how we accommodate what could potentially be a rather large public hearing.
Sure.
Whether it be virtual or another way, but I do think we need to open it up for some citizens' comment on that.
Okay. Everybody else, any thoughts on that, or should we just go ahead and plan for some of those activities in the next few weeks or month or whenever we can get to doing that? Anybody opposed to doing that?
I'm fine. That's
At least two staff members are here this evening, both representing the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Economic Development. I think they can bring that back to them, make the video available to them as well so that they can review it and perhaps give some input in writing to start. And if the council wants to meet with them individually and have some discussion, we can arrange for that as well.
Okay.
I know that Cal has some connections with the Downtown Merchants Association. We could, perhaps contact them as well to see if we could initiate a discussion and what type of feedback, as well as the Chamber of Commerce is still having monthly meetings. We can certainly
They are.
Al
The board
attends
does
those
meet.
meetings as well,
Yes.
so we can provide them with some summaries and at least see what additional information they may want to in order to perhaps give some feedback to the town council as well.
Okay. What time frame are you looking at? A month, couple of months, after holidays, in January? Just to give us a flavor of where you think we're going to be able to get all this going.
Well, I think that we should be able to get some feedback by the beginning of the year from those groups.
Yep.
And I would also look for some direction from the council. I know that it was brought up this evening, the idea of looking at the potential impact on town services, which, we can do, I believe we'll be able to do in-house.
Okay.
We certainly, I think it would be better to conduct a public hearing, a little later on in the process when we have a little bit more information, especially back from the groups that we just mentioned. And if there's any other information that the council would like for us to receive, I know that there's been some discussion, I know individually with some council members who felt that getting some type of timeline from one of the proposals, specifically the Manafort, Newport Realty group, about what they see as a timeline for moving forward with what looks like a relatively ambitious project would be helpful to know sooner than later.
Right, and I think perhaps as this starts to evolve, there may be other questions the council may come to before it's all is said and done. So it gives us a little bit of time to digest all that we saw Thursday and go think about some other things that may occur. So it'll give us a little bit of time to do some of those things.
And I would encourage town council members, to let us know what additional information you would like. I did take a little bit of a exercise with regards to what the potential tax revenue would be based upon both proposals, but that certainly needs to be refined as we go forward. I'm not saying that's the end all, but it's a starting point just to give you some type of perspective.
Okay, and you will get in contact with both of the presenters to let them know that we're going to be doing some more work on this, and we're not going to be having an answer for them like in a month or so. It's going to be some time before we get all the information we need and we get the work done before we can actually kind of figure out where we're going to go and that sort of thing.
Yes, and
Okay.
if for some reason timing becomes critical for either of the two groups, I will get back to you as well.
Okay. Everybody good with that? All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. The next item I have is the Cook Street Pinnacle Road crosswalk discussion. In mid-September, a resident wrote a letter requesting that town staff explore potential safety improvements to the crosswalk at the intersection of Cook Street and Pinnacle Road. This crosswalk is used by children walking to and from Wheeler School as well as the general public at other hours of the day. The crossing guard for the town at this location also expressed concern regarding the speed of motor vehicles in this area. Town staff reviewed the area and noted that there are several trees that create shade during certain times of the day, which can make it more difficult to determine whether there is someone looking to cross the street. Distracted drivers are also a problem as well, which is a problem all over town. After review, town staff is proposing to install flashing warning lights that can be activated to warn drivers that someone is getting ready to use the crosswalk. These warning lights have been used in similar situations in Farmington and in other communities as well, and at bike trail crossings. While certainly not the foolproof solution, the warning lights would create a much safer situation for both the driver and those crossing the street. The cost to install these warning lights are in the $25,000 range. There are state monies in the town aid road account that would be utilized or could be utilized. If there are no objections from the town council, town staff will proceed with the installation.
I think this is a great idea. Many, many years ago, my sons would walk from Wheeler School up Pinnacle to a family member who was providing some after-school childcare for me. And there was always a crossing guard there, but nonetheless, it is a busy stretch of road, and these are elementary school children that are getting crossed, and it would just be horrific if anything happened to them, their family member, or the crossing guard, for that matter, who's trying to navigate that. I think it's a very good idea, and I would fully support putting in some safety measures there. It's a very busy area.
Okay. All right. Thank you. The next item I have is the one-ton rack dump truck for roadways. The capital improvement plan includes an appropriation of $60,000 to replace a 1998 rack body truck and snowplow combination. Town staff is recommending utilizing a state bid contract to purchase a 2021 truck with a plow from Northwest Hills Automotive LLC of Torrington in the amount of $61,886.24. The additional $1,886.24 above the $60,000 appropriation would come from prior capital budget savings. There is an item under new business that would authorize the purchase of a 2021 GMC 3500 crew cab 4x4 truck from Northwest Hills Automotive LLC of Torrington in the amount of $61,886.24.
Okay.
Next item I have is a COVID-19 update. The Senior Center is planning to hold what they are calling Their gradual reopening beginning Thursday, November 5th. Safety is their number one priority as they service our most at-risk elderly population. The senior center must also abide by the state guidelines for 3 different sectors, namely for senior centers, for indoor recreation, and for fitness centers. So you have to, all 3 of those guidance documents that have been provided by the governor's office have to be incorporated in this plan, because those are the types of programs that we offer at the senior center. Seniors will be required per state guidelines to make reservations to attend the program or service at the senior center. The wearing of masks will be mandatory for anyone entering the building. A listing of the requirements for the senior center will be in the November senior newsletter and could also be found on the town website at www.plainvillect.com. I know the council received some additional detailed information. I think it was 2.5 pages of what the plans were for the senior center. That is what's going to be mailed to the seniors in a newsletter, and I believe that has been posted on the town website as of this evening as well. So that's where people can get additional information with regards to the senior center. The latest COVID-19 statistics for Connecticut indicate that over 62,000 residents have been infected and that 184 residents are currently hospitalized. There have been over 4,500 COVID-19 associated deaths in Connecticut. To date, Plainville has had 216 confirmed cases of COVID-19 as well. Residents are encouraged to stay diligent in their efforts to protect themselves and others as we enter the flu season and the colder weather. Next item I have is the financial dashboard. And this is for the first quarter through September 30th, 2020. Total town budget is $62,499 to date. We have spent a little bit over $20 million, about 32, almost 33% of our budget. 2-year average is about 31, almost 32%. So we're running pretty close to at least our 2-year average. Board of Ed's actually running a little bit behind the 2-year average. The town is running a little bit ahead in analyzing those numbers. The difference at this point in time is the result of a payment made by the finance director for our pension payments, which generally was made later on in the year, was made a little bit earlier this year. So that's the reason why we're running a little bit ahead of expenditures. So it's nothing that was out of off the budget. It's just that it was the timing of a relatively major expenditure to cover what we had budgeted for pension for this year, at least on the general government budget side. With regards to our police department overtime, we have spent through the end of September about $140,000, about 25%. If that holds, we'll be somewhere close to where our budget is, but it is early in the process. It is ahead or less than our 2-year average by a little bit over $40,000. Roadways overtime, we spent 35% to date. A lot of that has to do with, as we've reported earlier, with the storm that we had in August. There was some overtime that was accumulated by the Roadways Department, as well as some of the work that they're doing in anticipation, as it relates to some of the road work that they've been doing. And we expect a great majority of the rest of that overtime will be the result of leaf collection, which begins shortly, as you will hear later on in our report. As far as buildings and grounds overtime, they've spent 61%. A lot of what they do is during the summertime and working weekends. This is running a little bit ahead of the 2-year average, but nothing from my perspective to be alarmed with. And as far as the roadway snow overtime and the buildings and grounds snow overtime, so far so good. With regards to tonnages, what we delivered to the Bristol Resource Recovery plant in Bristol, through the end of September, we've delivered 1,638 tons. Our 2-year average is 1,465. So we're 172 tons ahead of last 2 years average. that 172 tons represents $11,561. So we are running above that budget. People have speculated a lot of it has to do with the fact that people are a lot of people are out of work and they have time to throw a lot more trash away than they normally would. But I guess others have speculated that up until this point in time, COVID-19, that people had more money to spend and were buying more things that they were disposing of as well. I'm not sure where it falls 100%, but but we are running ahead of our 2-year average. As far as recycling is concerned, we've delivered through the end of September 361 tons. Previous year was 326 tons. It's a difference of 34 tons, which represents, our expenditures to date are $28,000. Our current tip fee is $79.25. Last year, the tip fee was $87.19. So it looks like, the prices that we're getting for recycling have increased a little bit, so that results in a lower tip fee. Hopefully that trend will continue. Is there any questions on at least the expenditure side?
I just have a quick question, Robert. Sure. Do we get any report regarding heavy trash pickup? Do we get any kind of numbers from our from CWPM in terms of there's an ongoing now for the fall pickup? Do we get that information, or do we get it at the end of the year for the whole thing?
We get a weekly listing of who called asking for a pickup. And then we get a report of, after they do that pickup, of how many they collected and whether there were any issues or problems. We can discern from that what the tonnages are for that as well.
Just curious if it's a lot, or if we're kind of not as many people take use of that service.
Let me.
If you don't have to go to a lot of trouble, but if it's easy to put together, like for each season, we have the spring pickup and then we have the fall one, that would be fine.
Yeah, we've done this for several years. We have an intern that comes in a couple of days a week. That would be a relatively simple assignment, and I think it would be a productive one for that person as well. So
okay, well, just out of interest, if you could do that.
Okay. Is there anything else on the first page?
What's that?
My page is missing revenue, so second page. And it's probably the copy that I gave you that I will tell you that the revenues are running pretty close to where they're supposed to be running. I don't have the, for some reason the copy didn't come out on that one, so I'm going to skip over revenues if that's okay. I will point out that the permit fees, the building permit fees, are running significantly ahead of what was budgeted. We budgeted $350,000 for the permit fees. We've collected from Americold alone to date almost $534,000, with another $202,000 which is pending. So it'll be a total of $736,000 in permit fees from the Americold project alone. Never mind any of the other revenues from permit fees. At least I wanted to update you that. I apologize for not having the revenues for all revenues as compared to current taxes, as opposed to, and those are really the two that we generally present. I know that on current taxes we are running a little bit behind our 2-year average as far as that's concerned. And I'll make sure that you have that tomorrow as well.
Okay.
As far as our unassigned fund balance, it's no different than last month. There is some question as to whether we will get the COVID-19 reimbursements that the federal government and the state government had initially promised us. There is some question as to whether they're going to change some of the rules, which would result in towns, some of our costs being ineligible. So we're still working through that. We're not quite sure what the impact may be.
Robert, regarding those funds from is it the CARES Act? That's okay. the town applies separately from the Board of Education for reimbursement for certain COVID-related activities. Is that correct? Or
Some of it, yes, and some of it goes through the town as well.
okay. I know that there was some discussion back in probably late summer, maybe early fall, about the funds that were going to be dedicated to the Board of Education. It had to do with their Title I funding, and they were going to be matched for that. They get the Title I plus an additional.
Yes, those numbers were somewhere in the $330,000
Right.
range, according to Rob Buden, the finance director. To date, we received $165,000 of that, and we do anticipate to receive the second portion of that.
Okay.
There are costs above and beyond that the Board of Education has incurred as a result of fixing up the schools for social distancing and to meet the guidelines that go above the $330,000, and those are the ones that we're concerned about. How much of that will be reimbursed?
Okay.
Compared to what we had to do to outfit some.
Maybe in the
town
second
facilities.
round. Huh. But what
You know
is
what the-
what is the town, I mean, do you have a number as to what the town is hoping to get reimbursed for?
Matt, do you have that information by any chance? Do you know? I mean, I know that we were over $100,000. We were somewhere in the
$100,000?
$100,000 range.
Okay.
And we were
That's for improvements to buildings and things that you had to do in order to be compliant.
Yes, for this building
Okay.
as well as the library, some of the expenditures.
Senior
we're doing-
center.
Senior center, and some others as well.
Okay. I was just curious if
Yeah.
if we got it. But I'm sure you'll let us know once that shows up.
We have not received any reimbursements for the town side as yet. We've had numerous meetings with FEMA, with some of the state people, and we've filled out forms. We've submitted some documentation. It's just a question of whether they're going to reimburse us for some of our costs. We're starting to find out that unless we can tie it to a specific COVID-19 incident, that it may not be eligible. That's not what they told us at the beginning of the process. But in either case, we needed to spend these dollars in order to provide some of the.
And those funds come from the federal government to the state, and the state is going to administer them to the municipalities? Or do you get directly paid from the federal government?
We've been working directly with FEMA, and then the state said whatever FEMA doesn't reimburse the towns for, they will cover. So we're kind of working with both the state and
Okay.
federal officials at this point in time.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
With regards to our special funds, nothing jumps off the table with regards to recreation, other than we haven't been providing as much recreational programs, and so we're running under as far as expenditures, and we're running under as far as revenues are concerned. Not necessarily unexpected, just disappointing. With regards to Robertson Airport, budget expenditures, nothing jumps off the table as well. The airport fund balance currently stands at a little bit under $570,000. The Water Pollution Control Authority facilities budget expenditures are running under this year as far as expenditures are concerned, at least compared to the two-year average. And our revenues are running a little bit ahead, but the great majority of our revenues come in because we bill November 1st. So we hope that by the end of the year, the end of the calendar year, we'll have a more accurate idea of how that's working out. But we expect that, bills are going to go out by November 1st, if not a little bit before. With the Plainville Library, running a little bit under budget as far as on the expenditure side, and running as expected on the revenue side, since the town provides 90% of the revenue to the library, so we're able to control and be more accurate with regards to what the revenues will be for the library. As far as our major projects report, nothing much has changed. On the road bond, we haven't spent too many dollars in the last month or two on that. Most of that work was done in the spring and early summer. Phosphorus removal project, we still have a project balance of $253,000 in the project. And the project's pretty much 99% completed. Wheeler School project, we still have a project balance of $2.2 million. Most of that project has been complete as well. I think some of the project balance may be some of the retainers that we're holding, but we're still expecting a relatively substantial balance on the Wheeler School project when it's completed. Parking lot project is pretty much complete. We have a project balance of $133,000 there. The turf maintenance fund has a balance right now of $100,000.
Okay.
If there's no other questions with regards to the dashboard, I do have another item before we get to happenings, and that has to do with the school administrator's contract. And I think we gave you that information this evening. A letter dated today, October 19th, was received from the superintendent of schools, Steve LePage, notifying the town council of a newly negotiated contract between the Plainville Association of School Administrators and the Plainville Board of Education. The contract is for the period beginning July 1st of next year through June 30th of the following year. So it's a one-year contract. It's a one-year extension. The agreement calls for a 2% wage increase plus a step increase and includes a $500 increase to their tax-sheltered annuity. There would be no change to the premium cost share for health insurance. The employees would continue to pay 19% towards the health insurance premium cost share. The town council has 30 days to either accept, reject, or do nothing with regards to the one-year contract extension. And my plan, the town staff plan, would be to schedule this for consideration of the town council at your November 16th meeting, which would be within the 30-day statutory requirement if the council chooses to take action pro, con, or take no action at all. That's all I have to report at the moment. I'd like to turn it over to Matt Daskell for some happenings, and then we both would be available to answer any questions on what we've reported on or any other items that may be of importance to you.
Okay.
Good evening. Through you, Town Manager Lee and Madam Chairwoman. Election Day is 15 days out. Don't forget to vote November 3rd. As a reminder, absentee ballot applications were mailed to all eligible registered Plainville voters. Absentee ballot applications or ballots can be returned at the ballot drop box located out the Municipal Center by the side entrance. Leaf collection begins Monday, October 26th and runs through Monday, November 30th. Due to COVID-19 and associated health concerns, the town will not be utilizing town temporary labor for this leaf season. Residents are asked to assist in getting their leaves to the curb line as early as possible. Bulk waste curbside collection, as we just mentioned, concludes on Monday, October 26th. This is the final one for the year. Eligible residents must schedule their pickup prior to or on October 23rd, this Friday, to be eligible for that pickup. Plainville Family Resource Network has a play and learn group Tuesdays and Thursdays in October, 9:30 to 11 a.m. These groups will practice all social distancing and mask requirements for anyone age 3 and older. For further questions, please contact them at 860-793-6304. The Plainville Family Resource Network is also offering a virtual story time on Wednesday mornings at 9:30 a.m. Information is available on their Facebook page. Senior Center has a number of programs available, including virtual programming. A forthcoming COVID-19 drive-through testing is available Friday, October 23rd from 9 to noon. They're continuing to offer their programs of chair fitness and help with Zoom, as well as some other forthcoming cooking classes. Sewer use billing, as we mentioned, will be mailed at the end of this month with a November 1, 2020 due date and a last day to pay without penalty on or before December 1, 2020. Please check your mailbox, and if you haven't received them, please contact the town. And that's all that I have.
Well said. Thank you, Matt. Does anybody have any questions or comments for either Robert or Matt with their report? No? Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, the next portion of our meeting is the public comment portion. During this time, we welcome the public to come to That microphone in the center of the aisle, you will be given one opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please state your name and address. Does anybody wish to speak? Anybody wish to speak? Yeah. Okay, Joanne, I think you're it.
Again, only one person from the public comes to these meetings. I think it's disgraceful. The people can't be more interested in their town. Absolutely disgraceful. The people can't be more interested in their town. Joanne Edmond, 166 West Main Street. I'll start with, I'm sorry my brother can't be here, but he said be sure to say, no rail, no trail, and no thank you. And of course, I've been preaching that for quite a while. I'm, of course, I strongly oppose Alignment C and Alignment E. And I've heard that there's a lot of activity in back of my brother's house through the park there. There's stakes and on the Mule Hall Trail. So that looks pretty much like the town is going to go through with getting this trail built in this town. And I thought maybe there was going to be a time when you were going to pick another alignment, but it doesn't look like it. So in my opinion, I do believe that the town people, the citizens of Plainville, have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and I came up with a new word this week. I watched a lot of the hearings for the new justice. Honestly, I picked up a few expressions and phrases. I heard catfish, catfishing. I thought that was kind of funny. I love cats. I love all animals. And I can't use it here, but I came up with the new word. I think we've all been cat-pissed. So there, I've said it. And I just can't believe that at this point, people of Plainville, and I'm surprised, I'm the only one up here beefing about it. Oh, I just, well, I will continue because I can see where it's not going to be good for this town. So I'm practically used up my 3 minutes, I'm sure. I'm trying to keep on
30
top
seconds.
of it, Kathy.
30 seconds, Joanne.
Yeah, I'm going to say we're so close now to what America's going to be. We're so close to the election. And for all you Trumpers out there and all you Trumpettes, please, please go to the polls and vote for our good guy. And I don't care what happens to all the Hyden Bidens. You can all stay home or do whatever you want to do. But go, please, Trumpers, Trumpettes, go to the polls, vote.
Thanks, Joanne.
Wake up, everybody.
Thank
Come
you.
on. Get with the Pepsi generation.
Okay, are there any others that wish to speak to the council? Does anybody else wish to speak to the council? Anybody else? Okay, I'll close public comments and we're going to move on. We have no old business on our agenda, but we do have a couple of items under new business. So may I have a motion for item number 1, please?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion to award bid number 2021-061, one-ton rack dump truck under state contract number 19 PSX 0161 to Northwest Hills Automotive LLC, Torrington, Connecticut, in the amount of $61,886.24.
Madam Chair, I second that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 2, please.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion to approve the tax refunds is listed on the addendum.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That's all we had for new business items. Other discussions of interest? Do we have any other items of interest this evening?
I do not.
You do not? Anybody else? No? Okay. Cross that off. All right. May I have a motion to enter into executive session, please?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
motion to adjourn to executive session.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much.